In this video, we are going to explain exactly the difference between error and mistakes. Let's look at the difference. Errors are when the students attempt to say something that is too difficult for them, or even their level of language processing. Students are unable to correct their own error because they themselves do not understand the mistake they made because they are learning. The errors are very important when learning a language. In other words, a mistake is made when a person, in this case a student, has not yet learned a certain vocabulary or grammar for English. For example, yesterday I go to work. You should have said went to work. It is worth mentioning that errors are part of the learning process that must be addressed widely. We must keep in mind three things. First, errors do not require special treatment. And second, the error is only to the structure. And third, the error it is an incorrect language of a not native speaker, in this case, the students of language. So, what is the difference between mistakes? A mistake refers to a performance error that is a random request or a slip. In this case, the mistakes occur in both native and second language situations. That is to say that if a native speaker makes a mistake, he or she is usually able to recognize and correct those mistakes, which is the result of kind of imperfection in his or her learning process. Therefore, this mistake can also occur in second language speech. For example, pizza de 5 pesos es más mejor que la Pizza Hut. As well, we know it doesn't have to carry the más mejor, but the person knows what he has said and said correct, so has not tried to say it again. It be concluded that the mistake may be due to an oversight and they can correct it by themselves because they know the correct one, while in the error can be corrected in the divider it is pointing out to the speaker. Now that we know how to differentiate between error and mistake, let's look at the types of errors. In the learning process, students will make mistakes, but it will be difficult for them to correct them because the cause of mistakes are the following: the language transfer or interlingual interference. This type of errors occurs when the learning habit, including a pattern or rules, interfered with or prevent him or her from acquiring the pattern and rules of the second language. In other words, they use the literal translations. Second, intralingual interference. This type of errors occurs during the process of learning as a second language, at the stage when the learning has not yet acquired all the knowledge of the language. The following categories are overgeneralizations. For example, he can swim instead of saying he swims. Simplifications. this case, we have the example, I studied English for 2 years. In other words, we can, instead of years, the communications base, for example, using hair bell instead of balloon. The induced errors due to the teacher present of the material graded in a book example has if, like, the learning will write the following sentences. She cries as if the baby cries instead of crying. She is cried like a baby. Analogical errors provided a series of strategies that you consider effective to correct the different types of errors. Now that you know the types of errors, here are the different strategies that will help you to correct them. Number 1, clarification requests. The students, I go to the cinema last night. The teacher says, sorry, you what? The student, I went to the cinema last night. Using phrases such as sorry or I don't understand indicates an error in the orders for the students who try it again. This effective technique has the student most consciously analyze what they have said, and it is possible self-correct. Number 2, body language and facial expressions. Believe it or not, the body language and facial expression can help in a classroom because the students realize their mistake and they're watching when you are saying the mistake. A look of confusion completed with a hand gesture can make a student aware of their mistakes. 3. Note-taking. Another useful technique that I remember for correcting language blunder is by noting them down. I remember as a teacher that may take a notebook and writing down the recurrent mistakes, error of her student, so that he or she can later devise and remedial activities to correct them. 4. Reformulations. As a teacher, maybe reformulate a mistake sentence in order to correct it. For example, I like to play soccer. Student statement. The teacher statement would be, oh, you like to play soccer? Remember, depending on the student age or sensitive, their way of learning, and the situation and given for the student change to self-correct or apply corrections in your classroom. Because some students learn better when they corrected by their classmate instead of a teacher because they didn't have the confidence maybe with the teacher. Sometimes the teacher makes some corrections sounds like very hungry, and then the students don't feel comfortable with the teacher. I remember a teacher that said her something like with the hair. So the teacher in front of the class correct me, and I feel so bad because depending on the tone of the voice, depending on your face, you you receive the different decoration was different, because I remember the teacher was angry, so like was like in front of all the classmates. I try to say her, and I feel so bad when finally present the homework. But so as a teacher, we need to know how to correct the different errors. So we need to how to know the error and the mistakes. That is all for the video. See you next time.